tap-tap-tapping on his skull. Leo drove a finger into Granite Face's eye, followed by a slap to the ear. He drew in a racking breath as the lug let up for a second, then twisted to feel around amidst the balled-up clothes. Something hard had dug into his ribs as they rolled across the floor, and Leo was willing to bet a case of uncut whiskey it wasn't one of his wingtips. His fingers brushed metal, and he snatched up the Colt. When Granite Face regained his bearings, he found himself staring down the barrel of a pistol.
"That's enough."
Leo kept his voice level as he could manage. It was always best to look like you were in control, especially when you were very much not. The man raised his hands, leaning back nice and slow so Leo could scramble away. A glance to the door showed Granite Face's colleague still ensconced in the loving embrace of Leo's front wall. He got to his feet, pistol never wavering. Things had been dicey for a bit, but all in all, it seemed like Leo had the situation in hand. Which made it all the more surprising when he felt the cold jab of a rifle muzzle between his shoulder blades.
"Drop the Colt."
The man's tone was calm, his voice vaguely familiar.
"Mind if I set it on the table?"
Leo asked.
"Don't want to scuff the finish." "Sure, anything for a pal."
Leo laid the pistol on the table, slow and careful. The other two lugs looked to be straight bruisers, probably hired out of some Boston gin joint for a bottle of hooch and a few bucks off their tab. But the man with the rifle? The man Leo would have been looking for if he hadn't been working off a night of heavy drinking punctuated by a mild concussion. He felt like a professional.
"I know why you're here,"
Leo said.
"Do you? Listen, you can tell Johnny V that I'll have his cash in a few— Turn around."
Leo winced. It was never a good sign when a button man wanted to see your face.
"I said turn around."
Leo turned. The man lowered his rifle to grab the front of Leo's shirt. Expecting the worst, Leo was startled when the man dragged him close to plant a kiss on each cheek.
"Corporal DeLuca, you old booze hound! What the hell are you doing in Massachusetts?" "Donnie?"
He offered a sloppy salute.
"Private Donald Alighieri reporting for duty."
Donnie Alighieri was paler than he'd been when the Germans had shelled them at Apremont. The years had hollowed dark circles under his eyes and left a scattering of gray in his black mustache. But Leo still recognized the smile, made crooked by the long scar a German trench knife had carved from cheek to chin.
"Christ, how'd you get mixed up with these goons?"
Leo thrust his chin at Granite Face, who was staring open-mouthed at the two of them. Donnie shrugged.
"I could ask you the same question." "Why you jawing with this sap?"
Granite Face took a threatening step toward Leo.
"He put Tony through a wall."
Donnie placed a hand on the big man's chest.
"That's enough, Phil."
"But Johnny V said rough him up."
"He looks pretty rough to me," Donnie said. "Why don't you help Tony outside while the big boys talk?"
Phil looked about to argue, but something in Donnie's expression seemed to settle the large man. He stomped over to pull a half-conscious Tony from the wall, glaring at Leo the whole time. Happy as he was to not have his face rearranged, Leo couldn't quite summon any gratitude, especially since Donnie was still the one with the rifle. Leo settled for a level stare as Donnie waited for Phil to drag his moaning partner out onto the street.
"Sorry about all that."
Donnie waved an absent hand at the wreckage.
"Gotta keep up appearances." "I'd pour you a drink, but I spilled my last bottle over Tony's head."
Leo gestured at the couch.
"Mind if I sit? It's been a hell of a night." "Be my guest."
Donnie pulled up Leo's favorite chair and sat, rifle resting across his knees. Leo looked around for a cigarette and, finding none, settled back into the couch with a sad shake of his head.
"So
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.